This is the logo of Living Zoology Studio. So we will start from the beginning. So tell you more about how even this idea of doing wildlife photography and wildlife documentaries came to us. So in the logo there is the nose horned viper. It's the venomous snake species living in Europe. Actually one of the most venomous snakes in Europe, and it's quite widespread. So we can say that it's one of the few snakes which are important in the scale of Europe if we speak about venomous snake topics. But why we have this snake in our logo is something different, right?
Yeah, because it's the first venomous snake we have found together.
Yes.
It was our first expedition to Macedonia.
Yeah.
It's a small country in Europe. So it was a great experience for us. So we decided to put this snake into our logo.
Yeah. So and we have this logo since then, and we really like it. So we are not planning to change it soon. So we can go to the next slide. So as you said before, we started as zoologists. Both of us, we studied zoology here in the Czech Republic in Masaryk University in Brno. And you can see there some pictures indicated what kind of topics we were doing. So I was working on topics focused on evolutionary biology. Actually, I was working on white nose syndrome in bats. I was then working for my master's thesis on the hybridization of black and red kites, birds which live also in India. But my dream was always to be a herpetologist and work in the field of evolutionary biology on reptiles and amphibians. So since 2015, I'm focused on evolution of reptiles and amphibians in Central Africa. So I was working a lot in laboratory and also in the field in Central Africa. And I'm still working on my PhD for the 5th year. But as you can see, Zuzana was working in a little bit different field.
Yeah, I used to work with birds and ectoparasites on birds. So it's a little bit different now when we are focused on venomous snakes. But I like all animals, everything is connected to nature. So everything is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we basically met during the studies of zoology. But Zuzana is a great photographer. I was for the long time. I was just interested in photography, videography, and at the time it was around 2014. We started to have this idea to do something more than just studying zoology, because the thing is that in science nowadays there are so many rules. Like if you want to publish some research, it takes a long time until it gets submitted to the paper. Also, the journals are just deciding if they want your study or not. And even if they decide that they want your study, then your work needs to go through revision, and it takes a long time. So what we were thinking was we want to make fast and direct impact on nature conservation, and we were thinking about how we can do it easily without anybody else being in the stage of the preparation of the work we want to show. So we started a filming studio, and we tried to learn by spending time in nature, observing and recording what we see, and then showing it to people. And one of the most important things which happened in my career life, I would say, is connected with the video, which is coming next. If you can please play video 1.
Yeah.
So basically, this was happening in 2016 when I was starting my PhD, and this film was, the first which we were producing in both Czech and English languages. A year before, we produced the first documentary from Thailand, which was done with a small amateur camera, and it was just in the Czech language. But the reviews were very, very good, and people were actually encouraging us to continue. And so we thought that we also want to do the English versions to spread the information to the world, to broader audience. And so I went to Cameroon as a researcher, but also as a filmmaker. And I was trying to capture the story about what we were doing there, and the reality of Central Africa, because I think, and we will be speaking about this later when we will touch the topic of crocodiles in Central Africa. I think video is a great tool how to show people what is happening around the world in some places, and Central Africa is especially, I would even say, brutal in the sense of how people are treating animals there. So it was an eye opener for me and also for Zuzana. She came later, and we were trying to find the Goliath frogs together, and it was amazing to have the biggest frog in the world in hands and take some samples for DNA analysis. But the main aim why we came there with my supervisor was to collect some data about small puddle frogs which live in the mountains on the border of Cameroon and Nigeria. And we realized that the frogs are not there, that basically it looked like these frogs have disappeared. We didn't find any. And later, it turned out from the studies and knowledge of other researchers who have been there in the area that the puddle frogs and some other frog groups have probably almost disappeared from the mountains in Cameroon. This area is called Cameroon Volcanic Line or Cameroon Highlands. And it turns out that it's mostly because of habitat destruction, and also because of chytridiomycosis, which is a fungal disease. And it's spreading a lot because people are traveling and they can carry this fungus on the clothes and so on if they don't clean it properly. And particularly the frogs or the amphibians in tropical mountains are endangered a lot because the fungus just likes a little bit colder climate in tropical regions. So several species of amphibians are already extinct now. So this was like a sad story for me, and we were working on this since 2016, and it's almost 5 years. And about a month ago, the first paper was published. We described 2 species from Cameroon, but these 2 small puddle frogs are probably already extinct. So,
Yeah.
so this is one of the main experiences in my life when I see that science, of course, there can be different types of studies and research which can work fast, but in terms of biodiversity, taxonomy, it takes a long time. And it took almost 5 years. Now the story is out. But the other question is also who is going to read the scientific paper? Probably just the scientific community. But we are living in times when natural habitats are disappearing so fast, and each day so many species are becoming extinct, that I was feeling that I want to do something more. I want to help more and faster and better. So this film was ready about a year after the trip in 2016. So it's already for several years on the internet, online. So every work or everything what we are going to talk here, if we are talking about past projects, you can see these documentaries or videos on YouTube, and so it's available for everybody.
Yeah, it's for free. You can just watch it.
And I think that in this way, when you are just using the power of media today and social media and YouTube, you can have a big impact on what is happening with nature, and you can help to conserve several different groups of animals, even because we have been filming amphibians, reptiles. We try to film rare mammals if we find them during our quest to find venomous snakes, for example. So we were very happy for the footage of Goliath frogs, for example, and it's one of the few videos on the internet which you can find. So if we have the chance to educate through videos and photos, it's really great. So this is basically like the main reason why we started to do these documentary films. And now after those years, I think we can say that it has some results. It has inspired some people, and we are very happy for that. And we hope that we can continue this for a long time. So we can go to another slide.
Yeah.
So this is what we were talking about. Also, I think it's great that we are two people.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
So I can operate the camera, video camera, and Zuzana can take photographs.
Yeah, we usually do it like this. That I take pictures and Matej videos.
So in this way, we can basically get much more content, because I can focus on videos and Zuzana is focusing on photography. It's great to work in a team, even if it's a team of two people. But in recent years, we usually cooperate and work with some local people, snake handlers, people who are doing local research projects. So we really like to work with people in the country with more experience with certain species and so on. And as I said, it's great to work at least in pair when you work with venomous snakes, because it's obviously it's a dangerous job, and each piece of video or each photo can cost you life if you do something stupid. And of course, you don't want to do something stupid, because
we don't do.
But the thing is that when somebody does something stupid, and let's say somebody who handles venomous snakes dies, usually it just makes the reputation of the animals worse, because people start to fear snakes more, and they start to think that these animals are dangerous, and they try to attack you and bite you and so on. So we really try to work ethically in a way that safety of the snake is the priority and safety of us is the priority.
Yeah.
So these are few pictures with snakes we actually have. So the thing is that we are really not doing it for the publicity of us, being with the snakes. So we have very small number of pictures of us with snakes. Only when somebody is joining our trips.
And we are usually not present in our movies. In the documentaries, it's only about the snake, but not about us.
Yeah, so we slowly came from the more documentary travel movie, like in Cameroon or Congo, where you are basically following our work. But now we do just completely natural history, and you don't see us in the films. And I particularly like this picture because it just shows the way how you can, approach black mamba to a close, very close distance if you know what you are doing, if you are, behaving um, in a calm way, if you are not threatening the snake. Even the very feared black mamba, the most feared snake of whole Africa, can be approached in a way which most people would not, even imagine. And we are using, as you can see, we are using snake tongues, we are using gaiters to protect us and also to work with the snake gently. And we basically try to avoid the, touching the snake by hand, because it makes the snakes nervous and
it's dangerous, of course.
And what we want to capture is the natural behavior. So as much as we can just observe, it's the best way for us. So actually, we were enjoying working in India a lot. For example, in Agumbe, where we were just tracking king cobras and so on. So this is the map from our website, livingzoology.com, where you can have the idea where we have been working before. Only the very dark green countries are projects which ended up with some kind of result of documentary film. Of course, before, when we were younger, some of the trips we were not together on them, and we were doing research and so on.
For example, I used to travel a lot with my father, who is also a biologist, and that's why I love nature, because my father is also a researcher in biology. So that's what I'm used to.
Yeah. So so we try to cover the topic of snakes in a global scale. So different points of view about snakes, because each country is a little bit different. Each continent is different. So we can play the second video. So this is just a small piece of footage from different continents, just to show you what kind of footage we are trying to film. It's very different from most of the programs which you see in the televisions or online, where you usually have a guy or somebody just handling the snake and trying to make too much drama of it in our point of view. What we're trying to achieve is just completely natural footage of snakes, of their behavior, of them in their natural habitat, or even, for example, in the rural areas, if we are focusing on the topic of human-snake conflict mitigation, we basically like to follow snakes where they live and show people how they live, why they live, like, what's their role in nature. And we also try to show people the beauty of snakes. So that's our goal, to make people understand snakes better and start to have the idea how beautiful they are. So it brings us to the first main topic, let's say, of our work. So venomous snakes and human snake conflict mitigation is, we basically started to do just natural history, but then we came more into the topic of human snake conflict mitigation, because it's surprisingly
huge topic.
Huge topic, huge issue around the world. And here we can see the map. So if you check the numbers, you will see that Asia, Africa, Latin America would be probably the countries where most people die from snakebite. But there are many differences in the way why this problem occurs and what kind of species of snakes live there and so on. So we need to treat each country or each continent differently. So you see that in just in Asia, it's estimated that 100,000 people die it's only in India, it's like 50,000 people die each year from snake bites. And those are just numbers we know about.
Yeah.
We were recently just trying to find some interesting statistics about India to have, you know, to compare the level of the amount of people who die from snake bite. And we found out that I think each year 500,000 of children get lost in India.
And nobody knows
And
where they are.
nobody knows where they are. So and then you have 50,000 recorded deaths from
How many
snake bite.
unrecorded?
So how many of them are unrecorded? It's just a, you know, it's a huge issue on the scale we probably just can't think about. So and it was just in 2017, I think, when World Health Organization finally added snakebite to neglected tropical diseases. So until then, you know, it's just everybody's speaking about malaria and other diseases, but this is also a huge topic. In Africa, also many people die. There's big problem with antivenoms. It's just they don't have enough antivenoms to treat people. So
but it's the same in India and other countries.
Also, so you know, it's very expensive to produce antivenom. So even if people get to the hospital, they don't have the antivenom there, and so on. So these things are just happening. So let's speak about the species which can be contributing to the human-snake conflict around the world. When people or general public start to speak about venomous snake and human snake conflict, usually species like black mamba comes to mind. It's, you know, it's iconic species, is the most feared snake in Africa, second longest snake, second longest venomous snake in the world. But how many deaths actually are caused by black mambas, for example, in Africa? So mostly these iconic snake species are very intelligent. Now we are coming to king cobra, again, iconic species from Southeastern Asia, India. How many deaths are caused by king cobras? So these iconic species like king cobra, black mamba, or bushmaster in Americas, you know, they are usually shy snakes. They are usually living in pristine natural habitats. They don't cause too many deaths.
They try to avoid
Yes,
people.
of course, the deaths sometimes happen, but if you want to really speak about human-snake conflict mitigation and where are these problems arising, we need to speak about species like fer-de-lance, which was there before, or spectacled cobra. So snakes which are coming close to humans a lot.
They're common.
And are very common. So in India, we would say that spectacled cobra is one of the most common snakes. Or here we have Russell's viper. These snakes, they come close to humans because around the houses there are rats, there is food, there are shelters. It's a good place for snake actually to live. So snakes come close to people. Here we have common crate, another species, and then there are problems which arise from human behavior. People walking during the night without a torch outside. They don't wear proper shoes. They step on the Russell's viper, or they sleep outside and they just change their position when sleeping and they lie on the crate, for example. And so these situations happen quite a lot if the snake is common and it has the tendency to come close to people. And in each country there are some, you know, specialties. For example, here we have the Mozambique spitting cobra. We are so happy that we were able to capture this behavior on photo, because we can educate through this. So what this snake does is actually it's trying to defend itself. So, and these cobras, they don't need to hood up. They just spit the venom without hooding. So it's just blink of an eye. And so many domestic animals like dogs, they get spat by these cobras. Like in Durban area, for example, southeastern South Africa, this snake is so common. It's in the rainy season, it's amazingly common, and so the conflict becomes a little bit different. These spitting cobras are defending themselves, and they spit into the eyes of the dogs or other domestic animals, and then these animals can get blind if you know, they don't go to a veterinarian, so on and so on. So here again, very different snake, puff adder. So that was the puff adder snake, living in different habitats, very good camouflage. People often step on it, you know,
it's
similar
to like Russell's viper in India.
And then here we have a rattlesnake. So in the USA, they also have many snakes, but they have good health system in the way that hospitals are usually nearby. They usually get to hospital and get treatment. So not so many deaths are occurring there, but for example, the conflict is happening on the roads, and in a little bit different way. So many snakes are dying on the roads because drivers just don't care about them. They hate snakes. So in each country where we have been working, this human-snake conflict is a little bit different. We can, you know, we can find interesting differences. So let's play this video.
In India, the lives of people and snakes are closely connected together. The World Health Organization classified snakebite as a neglected tropical disease, as few efforts exist to reduce snakebite deaths around the world.
I've been watching people killing snakes unnecessarily.
Thanks to people like Murthy Kantamahanti and Ajay Giri, there is a chance that people can live in harmony with snakes.
Since 10 years, I have been rescued more than 600 king cobra around here.
They are risking their own lives to protect some of India's most dangerous snake species.
Most people are not even aware that there are non-venomous and venomous snakes.
Snake Rescue Call is the incredible true story about the dedicated wildlife conservationists who work to solve human-snake conflict in their communities.
But snakes are critically important animals for the environment. They're natural pest control, so they provide humans an ecological service. They're beautiful, amazing animals, and they deserve to live on this planet with us.
So here is an example how we think we can help to solve this situation. We can team up with people who are working in those countries where human-snake conflict happens, or we can team up with amazing people like people from Save the Snakes who are supporting different projects around the world, and we can tell their story through wildlife documentaries, and we can then reach much broader audience than, you know, maybe these people who are doing this amazing job, like for example Ajay Giri does in Agumbe. He's spending his time in the forest and doing amazing job in the local communities around Agumbe, but we can help him, and we want to help him to get much broader audience and show the story about him to the whole world. So we really like to cooperate with different people on this topic, and it's really amazing how, you know, when we connect, we share experiences, it moves all of us somewhere, you know, it pushes us forward, and we are finding different new solutions and ways how to save snakes and also protect people. So let's play another video. So this is going to be a scene from Snake Rescue Call documentary.
This area is a domain of Ajay Giri, a snake specialist who has worked with king cobras for more than a decade.
He reacts to movement just as steady.
He works very gently and professionally. His rescues are being shown as an example to other snake rescuers around the world. The big king cobra is quickly and safely put in the bag, and then it is time to gather some scientific data from it. Every snake which is being rescued is being weighed, and it will get a numbered pit tag implanted under the skin.
It is 7.4. 7.4,
This will allow Ajay and the team to recognize it easily if they need to relocate it again. After the procedure, the snake is again placed in the bag and will be released in the close vicinity, so it is not away from its home range. The release is done without touching the snake. Ajay has done this over 600 times and is a true professional.
This was a great example of what is actually happening, in the places where snakes and humans go into the conflict. So these people who are rescuing snakes are very important. So we try to work with them, film their work, and show it to other people. It's a great inspiration for other people who maybe are interested about snakes, and want to help
Snakes and the people,
save snakes' lives and also human lives. So this is another professional snake catcher, Nick Evans from South Africa. So we saw king cobra being rescued by Ajay, and this is the man who specialized in black mambas in South Africa, in Durban. They have many black mambas. It's really amazing. In one day we went to 5 calls, so and we rescued 3 black mambas. All 3 were more than 2 meters long, so it's just amazing. So
It's a very special area.
It's a very
not
special
usual
area
in other parts of Africa or South Africa.
Yeah. But thanks to people like these who are doing education programs, you know, after each rescue, they show the snake to villagers or to people, and people after having this experience touching the snake, seeing how nice it is, you know, they change their mind usually, and these people, they stop killing snake and they start to call these snake rescuers and wait for them. So these people come, relocate the snake and release them to natural habitat. So in this way, we can really solve the problem, and you know, people will not be afraid of snakes so much, and snakes will be still able to live. So we can play the next video, which was there, just to see how it looks like in Durban, because sometimes it's incredible. You will see where you can find black mamba.
Nicely done.
There you go. Hey,
Got it?
just on this brick. Thank you. Thanks. Hey, that's... I was expecting something a lot smaller.
You weren't even thinking you'd get it.
No, honestly, this was like our last stop because I was like, I think it's gone. Check the injury there, old injury.
What happened?
Oh, it's a big black mamba. Bloody hell. That's a big one under your child's bed. Whoa. How's that, eh? Can you believe it? That's a proper mamba. Hey? So this is the...
See, once we're on the floor here, and I've got, because having the head contained for me is nothing. It's just having it in such a way. Okay, we can just let go there quickly, then we just see what we can do here. Okay, this thing is... Okay, so, okay, luckily there's no wires attached. So we can get it to come out. It's going to come, and I want it to come by itself. Okay, just open that side.
Watch out.
Actually, open the box for me.
Ja. As hy kom,
Got him.
kom.
Got him.
Wag. As hy.
Got him. Hello, boy. Hello, boy. I want it. It's a beautiful color. There's 2 ways. I did bring my see-through tube if you want to use this. That one. It's a bit close still, but it's a bit close. Matthew, can you push it? Okay, that's one. As soon as we got that, yeah, got it.
As hy.
Got it.
Awesome.
Now, as soon as you just get it past that part where it's swollen,
then it will be able to get through. It's not, the skin is still spinning, eh?
yeah.
Check.
I think this is aluminium, so it's gonna go quick. Okay, I'm gonna have to go forward with my.
Die laaste ding wat wil doen is jou vinger of ietsie
Ja, rather soft vast raak as wat jy
ontwerp. Amper daar. Pas op jou vinger, gaan baie stadig nou.
Okay.
Hierdie vinger.
Okay.
Dis amper deur.
Okay. Okay, ek kan nie nou by met my gladde vingers nie. Miskien kan sy nou al vorentoe kom.
Ons hy.
There we go. One a massage.
Well done.
Massage the skin a bit for the blood flow. Feeling better.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, no, there's no damage. You can feel it.
Yeah, no, she hasn't even broken the skin.
It is just skin that's like all crumpled up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like having a tight ring on your finger. And
So you have seen how difficult sometimes it can be to rescue snakes. So this was the footage from our film we are working on right now. It's about the most venomous snakes of Africa. So you've seen Nick Evans catching a black mamba under the bed in the house, which is like crazy. It's child room, and there you have more than 2 meters long mamba, which came through the window. And on the second scene, it was Gerry Hines, a great snake catcher from Montague in western part of South Africa. And you've seen the Cape Cobra, which was just stuck in this, I don't know even what was it. It was a box of something,
Electric
you know, some
thing.
electric box in the garage, and the snake just went in, and it was so difficult to take it out. So sometimes these people, they are just risking their lives, and they need to, you know, try to use all the techniques to save the snake. But you've seen that the people from there, they actually waited there, they called him, and that's the success which these people can achieve. People are educated in their area, and they call them, and they just save snakes, they don't kill them. So,
and it's safe again for people there,
yes,
and for snakes
so
also.
that's perfect. So let's speak about snakes and their role in the ecosystems. So why are snakes important? The answer is actually very easy. It's so easy. So it's very interesting that people are still not understanding the way snakes are, you know, important predators. So of course they have their role in the food chain, and if you take snakes out, what will happen to the populations of their prey, and what will happen of the populations of the predators who hunt them? So snakes are very good in controlling rodents. They are, you know, sort of natural pest control. So if the rodents get overpopulated because we kill all the snakes, they will eat the crops. You know, they will destroy the crops, and also they will spread diseases. So
It's bad for people,
of course. So yeah, snakes are very important, and we are trying to show that in our films. So let's see the scene from the desert of the rattlesnakes.
A hungry speckled rattlesnake is one of them. It just picked up the scent of a young kangaroo rat and follows it. The inexperienced rodent doesn't even notice that the snake is approaching. The rattlesnake holds its prey firmly and injects the venom with its fangs. It waits until the small mammal is paralyzed, and then it starts to swallow it, beginning with the head. Rattlesnakes have a crucial role in the desert ecosystem. They maintain the size of rodent populations and prevent them from eating all the vegetation.
So this was just a short part of the scene, but we just wanted to demonstrate that we usually don't have the chance to speak to people in person. So all of these ideas which we are talking about right now are in our documentaries, where we show the natural behavior of snakes and try to explain why this happens and why is it so important. So there was the goblet viper eating a rodent. So that's the role which is usually understandable for most people. But here we have the king cobra eating a spectacled cobra. So that's it's a little bit, you know, more difficult relationship, but also I think people or villagers in Agumbe already understand this very well, that king cobras are top predators hunting other snakes, and basically you know, they are on the top of the food chain, and if you kill all other snakes, you threaten the existence of king cobras, of course. So there are different levels of the way snakes can contribute to, you know, natural food chains. So on here, this is another example why snakes are very important. So this video was without narration because it's from upcoming film about the most venomous snakes of Africa, but you probably understood what it was about. It was about Namakwa dwarf adder, the smallest adder in the world, which lives in the coastal dunes along the coast of South Africa, western part and southern part. And this this snake is, you know, everybody will speak about king cobra or bushmaster as an indicator of the quality of the ecosystem, but there are many more snake species which are actually indicating that the ecosystem is healthy. And what we were showing there is that people are actually throwing rubbish into the dunes and destroying the habitat. And these snakes, they need the pristine, very special habitats. They are specialized to live just in those dunes. So if we destroy them either by throwing rubbish there or by driving the cars or motorbikes through the dunes, and many people do that for fun, these snakes will just disappear. So snakes can also be actually a good indicators of quality of our ecosystems. And here we have another example why snakes can be important. For example, on the islands, this is the Malagasy leaf-nosed snake.
It's from Madagascar.
It's from Madagascar. And you know, snakes on the island, they often play the role of animals which are not present on the islands, because the island faunas are usually, you know, endemic in some way. On Madagascar, it's like 90% of all organisms, they don't live anywhere else. So snakes play a vital role because apart from few carnivores which are there, snakes are basically the main predators on the ground. So all of this may be very easy to understand for us, and maybe biologists and nature conservations, people working in nature conservation. But you know, we need to communicate this somehow. So that's why education is extremely important, and we try to do that not only by wildlife documentary, but also by snake workshop for children here in the Czech Republic and in person. So this is the picture on the left. It's actually the kindergarten, forest kindergarten, where Zuzana works, and children spend whole time in nature, and she teaches them many things about animals and wildlife and so on.
And sometimes we can bring snakes also.
Yeah. And we also try to educate people during our filming trips. For example, in Africa, people fear snakes a lot. They kill them. So actually, this photo shows a very rare occasion on a small island in Lake Victoria, where there are cobras, and the fishermen who live there, they think that cobras are spirits of the island, so they don't kill them. It's a very special story for Africa.
They can live together inside the village. It's full of cobras.
Yeah, and they basically sleep there in the huts, and the cobras are crawling everywhere around. And the snakes even change their behavior. They are not hooding up as cobras on the mainland. They behave very calmly. But after we came there and showed them the snake, for them it was the first chance to actually touch the snake and actually, you know, appreciate it much more from close distance. And even speaking with us and asking questions. So it was a very powerful moment, and these are the moments which I like a lot, when we can educate local communities and maybe change the perception of snakes for them, for a long term. So maybe next time when we come, they will already value snakes much more. So yeah, education is extremely important. For already 5 years, we are working on a documentary about snakes here in the Czech Republic, because even though we have just 5 species of snakes,
and only one is venomous.
Only one is venomous,
not like very dangerous one.
But it's also, snakes are part of our country, our nature, and we hope to finish our documentary soon, and it will be the first documentary about natural history of snakes living here. And actually, we are trying to show that if we care a lot and try to think about snakes as a part of nature and our ecosystems, we can live in harmony. So this picture is showing the smooth snake on the rock wall. It's actually in a vineyard, and it's a place where 4 of 5 snake species in the Czech Republic thrive. And actually, the human activity helped them a lot. So that's what we try to show with this documentary, that here in Europe, again, nature is a little bit different. It's influenced by people for a long time, for centuries. So we actually need to think a little bit about our activities. And if we do the right things, snakes and other wild animals can live very close to us in harmony. So the example can be the vineyard, or the dam in our city where we live, where we have dice snakes, which also thrive after people managed the shores of the river coming from the dam, and they actually didn't use concrete, but they used big stones, and they provide shelter for snakes. So that's why the snakes stay there, and they are quite endangered in our country. So if we think correctly, we can save snakes and live in harmony with them, because we don't have any problems of cobras or mambas coming into our houses. We are not really
you're not lucky.
So
but still, people don't like snakes, even if they are not dangerous and so on. They try to kill them, and it's not necessary, of course.
So that was the snake topic. So let's move on to another one, and we will make a loop and come back to the topic which was at the beginning, connected with Central Africa and frogs. So crocodiles and bushmeat in Central Africa. So let's play the video now, the trailer of the documentary about Congo dwarf crocodile.
This is the one? Is this the one?
Yes.
Many mysterious animals live in the rainforests of the Congo. One of them is the Congo dwarf crocodile, one of the smallest species among these prehistoric reptiles. Although it was described about 100 years ago, today it is not recognized as a separate species. Czech herpetologists Václav Gwozdík and Matej Dolinay traveled to flooded forests of Central Africa, and during 2 months they collected data about this creature endangered by hunting for bushmeat. Catching the wild crocodiles for research and saving those which were hunted to be killed belonged to the daily routine. But this expedition was also full of unexpected moments. The members of the team needed to cope with the unpredictable weather and harsh reality of life in the Congo. Living Zoology Film Studio invites you to witness the adventure of scientific work traveling in Africa and discovering the secrets of a mysterious crocodile.
So this is again one of the older movies from our studio, but I think it's showing you know, some serious issues which are still happening in Central Africa, and you know, it was filmed in very difficult conditions, but maybe because of that it's more like, you know, pure experience where you see what is really happening there. So we can go to the next slide, and I will start to speak about the whole story about that trip actually. So so we went there because my supervisor, he knew that there's a crocodile species which is not being treated as a separate species. It was actually described in 1919, long time ago, but then people just forgot about it. And researchers were not traveling to Congo for several decades because of the political situation there. And so we went there to try to find these crocodiles, take some tissue samples for DNA analysis, and just, you know, prove that these crocodiles are separate species from the dwarf crocodile, which is treated as a species. So we thought that we will go to the forest like this, camping for 5 days in the forest and walking around the forest and catching some crocodiles, releasing them, you know, and being happy. But actually, these crocodiles, not all of them were found in the forest. Some of them were actually brought to the forest so we could release them. So we started to figure out that everything is a little bit different than we thought there. So we can go to another slide. So even in Ojala National Park, for example, where, you know, poaching shouldn't be present, like it should be well-preserved forest. Poaching is happening there, and people are going into the forest, catching animals, killing animals, and it's happening on a scale which is very surprising. So and also we were surprised that we basically found some crocodiles on the places in the park where they didn't know that the crocodiles are even living there. And we were trying to take pictures of all the individuals to see the differences between babies, juveniles, you know, and adults, and having some kind of knowledge about how they grow up and how their skull is changing, the shape of it, and so on, because you can tell the differences from the dwarf crocodile and Congo dwarf crocodile if you look on their heads and you see the different features on the head. So this is how it looks like. So we had the crocodile, we were just taking small tissue samples, and then we wanted to release it in the wild. So but finally this was happening just with few of the crocodiles, and with most of them we actually found them like this in the village. So that was very surprising for us. We were, you know, coming into villages, asking people, showing pictures. Do you know this crocodile? Have you seen it in the forest? And in many places, we actually ended up in the kitchen, and they showed us this. We have this crocodile in the house, and we were very surprised. What's going on? And people are just catching these crocodiles in the forest. There are hunters who go to the forest and they bring crocodiles with legs like this, tied. You know, these crocodiles are in these conditions days or weeks. So their eyes were damaged, for example. You know, it was really hard to see. And what we were actually doing, we were buying these crocodiles because they were going to cook it and sell the meat or eat it. So we were buying them, doing research on them, and releasing them back to the forest. And I mean, even for the local standards, the price of the meat, of bushmeat, is like, it's one of the most like valued food you can find there. And even for our European standards, we were thinking that we need to pay quite a high amount of money for the crocodile, for example, to save it. So it just tells a story about how difficult it is sometimes to change people's mind and do nature conservation, because here in Central Africa is not a thing of poverty in many cases. It's a cultural thing. They just love to eat bushmeat. It's their culture, and they eat Goliath frogs or crocodiles or other endangered animals. So these are just examples of what happened when we were camping in the forest. Yeah. So and people just go outside, the hunters, and they bring a bush pig or endangered colobus monkey, or they love pangolin meat, for example, and they are proud of that. They are posing with the dead animals, and I think many people don't know about this problem of bushmeat in Central Africa. And in terms of crocodiles, it's estimated that maybe more than 3,000 of them get to the main market in Brazzaville each year. So you can imagine how quickly they will get extinct if it goes in this scale. So also pangolins are almost going extinct in Africa and so on. So by just filming
Same
it,
in Asia.
yeah,
it's not only
but
but it's different.
In Africa, it's really on a big scale. In Central Africa, I mean. So I was just trying to film it and put the story together about our trip. And yeah, some of the footage is really rough when they bring the colobus monkey and they start to chop the legs and the head in front of you. But maybe this is the only way or the best way how to make people start to realize that something bad is happening there, because if people don't know, they usually don't care too much. So if you are interested about this, definitely watch this film on our YouTube, because I think only if people are educated and know about these problems, we can do something against it, because things are really strange there. So let's move to something more positive. So the final main topic is the role of drones and other equipment and research and filming. So we won't be talking very much about this. It will be more like, you know, a way how to make people realize that they can explore a lot and they can find different ways how to use all the equipment which is now available. So you see here a drone, you see here a GoPro camera or a microphone. All of these things can be used for various, you know, ways how to get interesting information about nature. So you can just put your camera with a microphone somewhere in the forest and record the sounds of the forest, for example, and find out that there is some kind of bird singing which nobody heard before or something like that. In some places like Central Africa or tropical rainforest, there is still a chance to find some new amazing, you know, things, and you can achieve that even with a camera or microphone or a drone. So that was the picture of me filming a rattlesnake. It's just basically showing how we usually try to approach snakes.
It's quite easy, actually,
and film them from their perspective, being low, because what you want to achieve is giving the audience the experience from the eyes of the animal. So if you are filming snakes, usually want to get on the ground and trying to make people you know, have this feeling that they are moving with the snake through the grass and so on. So let's play the video without the sound here. So we will be speaking during it. So this is just a compilation of drone footage which we have. So again, you have a drone and you can use it for many ways to explore nature. So
and it's not necessary to have a big drone. Our drone is very small one. It's just like this, very small one, and it's not like very expensive one. So you can just buy one and try.
Yes. So you can basically use it for scanning the landscape around you, and we also like to show the actual habitat of the animal, because snakes live in some very strange or extreme environments, like for example this place where during the day it's extremely hot. It's on the border of Arizona and Mexico, and there are rattlesnakes which have white color as the white granite rocks there. But how you can see the the place better than from a drone. So, or you can show some interesting behavior like the sidewinder snake moving on the sand. You can show it from above. In India, we wanted to show from above the general landscape of plantations and rural areas, to actually show where the Russell's viper can live, and you can see it from above in the field, and it gives you a completely different perspective of this animal. Also, you can see a released king cobra here, and from above
you can imagine how big it is.
Yeah, you see how, compared to Ajay, for example, how long, massive snake it is. And of course, you can use it for other amazing things connected with other wildlife. So in Kalahari Desert, you can follow the yellow Cape Cobras. We also like that it gives us the chance to compare the different habitats. So like in Africa, we go from deserts to savannas to rainforests, and it gives your wildlife documentary, you know, different perspective. So, and many people in Africa, for example, use the drones for counting numbers of big animals. In some habitats, you can really do that in savannas. So you can just do survey flights and see what kind of populations of animals you have in some kind of reserve or national park. And you can also see, like you saw on the last two pieces of video, you can see the changes in environments. If you film one landscape in let's say January, and then you film it in June, you see the difference between, for example, dry season and the wet season. So those are the ways how you can use drones, and it's just inspiration for those who are listening to this talk, that there are no limits today, and you can explore and you can try to find your way how you want to present your footage or some stories about nature.
We really like to show snakes from above, because it's not usual and it's very different perspective on the snake.
Yeah. So this is another example, I think a good one, how you can think of a different way to show an animal.
The giant reptile is slowly finishing the meal, but we are able to get some close-up photographs.
So this was just an example that if you are inventive and you want to try to do something differently, like how you would present this scene of Komodo dragons eating a carcass of a deer. So we were thinking how to do it differently. So we already came from the Czech Republic with this trolley.
And it's homemade trolley. It's not like bad.
It's a whole homemade thing, and you put the camera on it, and then you get this a longer handle from the sweepers, and it's a homemade thing. It's not like that you can just go into the shop and buy it. And we were able to go with the camera very close by to the dragon with it and get pictures from a very different perspective. So those are just some examples. So we'll be happy if people who are watching this this webinar check our videos on YouTube, and maybe they will get some more inspiration. And we try to answer to each comment on our videos, so people can ask us also under the videos about anything which will be interesting for them. And also, as I said, the topics which we were speaking about are also there in our films and short videos. And to conclude, we are so helpful and so happy that we have cooperators around the world. We had such a great time in India with local snake catchers and Save the Snakes, and also in other countries. And we are also very happy that we can bring the snake topic or reptile topic to media, like to television or to some photographic exhibitions. So that's our goal, to promote these animals which are feared and hated by many people, and to change the attitude of people.
Show them in better way.
Yes, yes. So that's our goal, and we are also very happy to have the chance to speak about our work here. So thank you so much.
Yeah, Matej, before we go, we got some questions from the participants.
Okay.
Okay, Maitri is asking a question: how do snakes produce venom, and how much?
So basically, it's very easy. Let's say if you already have or if you see a snake after millions of years of evolution, the venom is basically evolved from the saliva. So yeah, in nature it takes millions of years, but you basically evolve a venom gland, which is usually behind the eyes of the snake, in the upper jaw. And this gland is producing the venom, which, as I said, is basically originally coming from the saliva. So, and the snake is producing this venom by itself, and by the muscles which are around the venom gland, it can also put the venom into the prey, or it can bite somebody who is attacking it. And it can either put a lot of venom out, or even a dry bite can occur. So the snake knows how to control the amount of venom which goes out of its body. And to say how much venom the snake produces is very difficult, because each individual has, you know, some kind of different production of the venom, and also
different types of venom, of course.
Yeah, and also different snakes would also treat their venom in a different way. Some snakes just tend to save the venom if they feel threatened, and they would just do a dry bite. But some snakes are just not so careful about it. In sometimes, for example, juveniles tend to bite more with the venom release, because maybe they are not so used to control their venom glands, and they will just learn it.
Enough also.
So, but in general, mostly snakes produce much more venom than they need for one prey to be killed. So they have the storage of it.
We got another question from Mr. Subha Bangera. Subha Bangera travels with us a lot and is a very, very senior person. His question is, okay, first of all, he says a very highly professional presentation.
Thank you very much.
But what is motivating them to be in this passion?
What is motivating? Sorry.
What is motivating for you both to be in this profession, and what is the passion behind this?
What motivated us?
For me, one of the biggest motivations was at the beginning to see the snakes in their natural habitat, to actually, go to the places I was just reading before in the books when I was young, and I was just dreaming about these forests of Africa or snakes in India, and I just wanted to go there and see it. And very, very soon after that, when I was already there, my other motivation was to film it and to show it to other people. In maybe it's just a coincidence, but nowadays, as this conflict between snakes and people is happening, and also the natural habitats are just vanishing, I feel it also has like a big purpose, and it's a big motivation just to work on these documentaries and present them and try to educate people. So it's connected.
Yeah. Okay. And Sandeep Suri Prakash has got a couple of questions, so I'll take it one by one. He says people generally are very scared of snakes, so whenever they encounter them, they immediately kill it. One thing obviously is a lack of awareness. How can we increase the awareness among people about the snakes? I think you covered that very nicely in your presentation, but maybe a gist of an answer, maybe.
Yeah. So the basic answer is education. So I would suggest to make, for example, an educational material, like a small not like a book, but small piece of material where you can show people different snake species, because when people will be able to recognize snake species, they will know if they see a rat snake, which is not dangerous, or if they see a cobra, for example. And that's the first step, to make people realize which kind of species of snakes they have around their houses.
Just to know that there are also non-venomous snakes. People sometimes even don't know that there are non-venomous snakes.
Exactly. And then it will be great if there is a local snake catcher or snake handler in the area, and he will start to educate people about the role of snakes in the environment, and show them that if they call him or her, he will come and professionally relocate the snake. And there are so many areas in India where this is still it needs to be done, and hopefully there will be more and more people like those people who are shown in our films who will do this job.
And it's necessary to train people to be rescuers, because it has to be a trained person. It's not like just I'm going to catch this snake, but
so another thing is that these people who are already experienced will organize trainings for people who are interested and give them the proper equipment and proper knowledge to do the snake rescues in a professional way.
And also how to say it, I don't know, prevention. Prevention, to know that it's necessary to have clean house, that there's no rubbish which attracts rodents and snakes. So these things.
Okay, his next question was, how do we generally differentiate between a venomous and a non-venomous snake?
So sometimes it's a bit tricky, because there are still many, for example, colubrid snakes which have rear fangs. So the fangs are not in the upper part of the skull, but they are somewhere behind the eyes. And these snakes, they need to chew their prey to get the venom inside its body. And in many of these species, there are still not many studies about their venom, for example. But at least in case of the most important venomous species, like in India, it's quite easy to recognize spectacled cobra, Russell's viper, or soul-scaled viper. There can be some difficulties with common krait, for example, to confuse it with some non-venomous snakes. But unfortunately, some of the rules which are being taught, like for example, non-venomous snakes have circular pupil and venomous snakes have vertical pupil. It doesn't work because cobras have circular pupil, for example. So it's really necessary to know the different species and to learn something more about them, because you can't just say very easily without any knowledge of snakes that this is a venomous and this is a non-venomous one. So that's why it's so tricky, because it's not easy just to say this is one or two rules and you just follow this rule and you recognize all the snakes and you know which one is venomous and which one is not.
Yeah, and of course the last one, Subha, is, I would not say it's a question, but I think it's a statement, a very nice statement. With whatever is happening around the world with COVID, he says with whatever you've shown, hopefully the killing will stop. I mean, the wild meat will get not sold like how it was earlier. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. We hope that the situation can be changed. Yeah, because
okay, one last sorry. One last question which I've always had to, this is there running in my mind. For filmmakers, or I would say documentarians like you, what is the revenue stream? Because, a lot of people question us or send us messages asking that in case we want to become a documentarian, in case we want to become a, environmental journalist. So, and if you're doing freelancing, especially when you're doing freelancing, you don't have a company to sponsor you. What is the revenue stream? How do you earn? You need to earn money, right? Somewhere you need to earn your money to go to your next project. So some take on that.
So basically, from our experience, the best way how to start doing something is to do it because you love it.
Yeah, like a hobby. We started like it's our hobby.
Yeah. So it's difficult to just start to do some work in this field of nature conservation and directly get a lot of projects and money. So you need to really do it because you love it, and it usually starts as a hobby. But if you still like it and do it for some amount of time, the reward will slowly come. So
we started like 6 years ago. We started 6 years ago, and we had different jobs, and we earned money from the job and put it inside our filming.
So this environment usually works in a way that you first need to produce something, and then you can show it to audience, and after that you may get some funding, some projects, and so on. So first you need to put some amount of time, effort, money into it, but if you do it because you love it, you are enjoying it. So and then of course, like finding the ways how you can get something from the footage. So you can sell some footage on the internet for some people who are, for example, looking for footage from natural, places.
There are video banks for this.
Yes.
You can put the video there, and someone else can buy it from you.
Or you can start promoting your content or putting your content on YouTube. You can use social media for spreading knowledge and getting more people interested about your work. And slowly everything connects together. And if you are doing a good job and you are also a little bit different than others, that's also, I think, important, because today, media are so powerful and so many people are trying to be successful on the internet. that you need to try to do something a little bit differently. So either you focus on some topic which has not been addressed too much yet, or you are trying to work on the same topic which has been explored many times, but you find a different way how to do it. So of course, it's a little bit tricky, but I think, as we said, you just need to explore and find your way.
But still, we have some fundings that somebody paid the travel costs for us, or Save the Snakes wanted us to come and make a movie for them. But still, I've got a different full-time job. I'm a teacher for the full-time. It's not our job, like it's giving us a lot of money or something like this.
Yeah.
It's
So
more a hobby still.
For me, it's like nowadays it's like mostly based on filming and working for a travel agency. So I'm also working for travel agency focused on Africa. Sometimes I'm like a guide, so I go with people. Also, I have the chance to educate them. I film footage also for this travel agency and for promotion of wildlife and nature protection in Africa. And science is just now, a very minor part of my income. So let's say after 6 years, I moved to the stage where filming and travel is the main part of my job, and who knows how it will be in the future. So everything is just still changing, and you just need to try to do your best and enjoy the way how you continue your work.
Thanks a lot, Matej and Zuzana. I think it was first of all, very, very powerful presentation, very powerful slides, very powerful messages. And like what Subhash sir was telling, your passion towards doing or achieving what you want in life, you are actually a true example for that. Both of you are true examples for that. And a big salute from our side, from Travel Unboard and Right Exposure. And our prayers to always you are there so that you do keep doing more of this and showcasing us to what is there and what is not there. So thanks a lot for joining, and stay safe. And very soon, I'm sure we are going to get rid of this lockdown situation, and I'm sure we are all traveling together in India. And please do give us a buzz next time when you drop into India. Of course, we'll be in touch. And a small word to the participants: we are launching something very, very interesting with the next week. Of course, this is the last of the webinar series of Right Exposure, where we had filmmakers and conservationists. We are launching something very interesting from next week. That is for the participants. So if you want to tell a last word, and then we can close it, Matej and Zuzana. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for having us, and we were very happy to have this chance to speak to you and others. And we are looking forward to come to India again.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to go India again. Yeah.
Welcome home, and thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen, for joining. We'll be in touch, and just keep watching our space for more. We are coming out something that's very, very interesting at this point of time. Thanks again, and God bless. God bless.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.